What's up, everybody? Colton Posey here, and as you all know, I have purchased Humminbird units, the Helix units, and I absolutely love them. I don't know how I ever fished without them. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to show you from the transducer all the way up to the graph how to set it up where you get the best image and the best detail no matter what conditions you're fishing. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so starting with the transducer, what you want to do is figure out, do I fish with people or do I fish by myself? The number one reason is if you fish by yourself, you need to make this side of the transducer, which is on the driver's side, you want to make it just a tad bit higher. Then you want to, while you're out on the water, get you a 4-foot level, put it on the front of your boat, and when you're idling around at whatever speed you're used to graphing at, you're going to adjust that level. Easiest way to do it is put quarters under it. So if it takes 5 quarters to level it out, then you know when you jack up the front of your boat on level ground that you will, have to put 5 quarters under it to level it out. Then you can level your transducer. So what happens is I fish by myself most of the time, so my transducer on this side is a little bit higher, and then I have this leveled out to where it's level whenever I'm idling. The reason you do that way when I'm in the boat by myself, this transducer will be sitting slightly turned and flat. So that way I'm getting the best image on both sides when I'm using my side imaging. Okay, if you fish with somebody, scrap all of that except for the level. So like I said, put your level on the front of your boat. Adjust it with quarters however high it needs to be to make it level, and then after you do that, come back, jack up the front of your boat until the level's level with the quarters, and then you can level out your transducer and install it. Okay, so now that we've talked about leveling your transducer to get the best image, the first thing I'm going to start with is 2D sonar. So one of the biggest things that I want to do, the absolute first thing I want to do as soon as I get it out of the box, I'm going to hit menu, then I'm going to go to, let's see here, set up, go all the way down to user mode. Now when you take it out of the box, it'll say angler. There's nothing wrong with that. It does do a pretty good job, but if you want to get a little bit more detail out of your image, switch that to custom. Okay, after you swap it to custom, you can just hit exit. Then I'm going to go to menu when I'm on my 2D sonar. Your sensitivity will be somewhere around in here. What I like to do, drop this down to about 12. Okay, go down to your contrast. That's about dead middle, and I usually leave it about right there. Okay, now as far as your chart speed, set it to whatever you're going. So usually what I do, if I'm going 3 miles an hour, I will set it to 4, just one little bit ahead. To me, that gives the best image. So your sensitivity 12, contrast 20, and when I'm dealing with 2D sonar, I just set it on auto. That way it will adjust itself. So that's 2D sonar. Okay guys, so now we're talking about down view. Down view, I use it 90% of the time. So most of the time when I'm scanning with my side imaging, I'm still using down view. The best way to get the best image out of down view, you want to go in and just hit menu, upper range, lower range. I leave the upper range at 0 foot. Lower range, okay, this adjusts what you're going to see. So if I go down to 35 foot, see it comes up to 35 foot. What I typically like to leave this on, and if I'm in about 25 foot of water, is about 35. Okay, in this scenario, we're in 45.6 foot of water, so I will actually go down to 60. The reason I say that, I'm getting all of this detail right here on the bottom. Right here, this is, bait and stuff. I'll show you a little trick to that in just a second. But One of the easiest things to remember, whatever depth you are, you want to go about 15 foot above that. Okay, so now what I'm looking for is target separation. So I'm going to go back into menu, sensitivity, okay? Let's bump that up just a hair. Okay, I can see a little bit of clutter coming in. Down imaging, enhance is what I hit. Let me go back, show you one more time. Okay, DI enhance, I'm gonna hit over. That's gonna pop up my sensitivity and my contrast. Contrast is gonna adjust your shadows. It is a lot more important when you get into side imaging. So one of the things I like to do, bump your contrast up just a little bit. That'll give me a good target separation. So right now I've got my contrast on 14 and my sensitivity on 11. That'll give me good target separation. I can see in between each individual one. Like right here, let me pull this up real quick. Hold on. All right. Like right here, I can really tell there's 1, 2, 3 fish. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but anyways, right here's a little bit of bait. It just really sharpens that image. So guys, that's down view. Okay guys, so now we're talking about side imaging. Here's the thing about side imaging. If you do not have a big graph, so anything under a 10, you really don't want to go over 55 foot. That'll give you a crisp image. Anything under 55 or 55 and under will give you a great image, okay? Right now I do have it set on 90 feet, but it's because of the depth of water that I'm in. The biggest thing is the smaller the graph, the less pixels that you have, so you're not going to get that clean detail. And I'm looking for bass. I want to see bass. So the farther you spread that out, the harder it is, and the smaller the fish is going to be. So set it, if you're using anything under a 10, set it somewhere around 45 to 55 foot of water, okay? So this image right here, you can see I got crisp, clear shadows and detail, and we got rocks. Right here is some fish. Scroll over here. Right there is some fish. Right over here is some bait fish. So how do I get these crystal clear images? First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into menu. Sensitivity. I'm going to set it about in the middle. Sometimes I will go to 11. Sometimes I will go to 9. It just depends on your water clarity. SI enhance. This will help you adjust your contrast and stuff. Your contrast is going to adjust your shadows. The lower the contrast, the brighter the image. The higher the contrast, the dimmer the image. So see, when I tighten it, or when I bump it down a notch, these shadows become a little bit blurry. So what I like to do, I like to run it at about 10. That way I can get a real good detail of the shadows and see exactly what I'm looking at. So sharpness, that will give you a little bit of a, it makes it kind of blurry. It gives you a little bit sharper detail around your rocks and stuff like that. I don't really fool with that at all. Contour mode, don't even bother with it. It takes out this middle part, so it'll just show the sides. See how it kind of blends all that together? I hate that, so I don't even use that. Okay, go back into menu. We're running both sides. Chart speed, same thing. I found that I like to run my chart speed on about 4. That gives me the best detail when I'm graphing, because I drive at about 3 miles an hour when I'm graphing. Another thing, amber is a great color, but the biggest thing is, like, when it's real bright outside, you might want to swap to like a green, something like that. It'll give you a lot sharper detail and better target separation. Another color a lot of people like is the blue. I'm not a big fan of the blue. I just don't like the blue all in the middle and stuff. I like a black background, so the amber color is really great. So guys, that's side imaging. I'm going to show you here in just a second. I'm going to show you exactly how I have all my settings set up one by one, so stay tuned. Going into my settings on my unit, I'm just going to hit exit real quick, and I just got my maps pulled up. I'm going to hit menu, and then menu again. That will pull up all my settings. So first thing, alarms. I don't set any alarms. This is a preference that you might have. You can go through here and set your alarms however you want them. Sonar. So display spectrum, I keep it on full. This is the Mega Imaging Plus unit. So on my DI, I run Mega Chirp. On my side imaging, I run Mega Chirp. Surface clutter, usually keep it around 5. Sometimes you might have to bump it down just a hair when the water's real dirty. 2D switch fire, clear mode. If you go to the other mode, you get a lot of trash and stuff in the water. So in the same way with the imaging switch fire, keep it on clear mode just to keep all the trash and stuff that's floating around out. Imaging Plus presets, you can mess with the images and stuff. I keep that on the factory settings because the image is so great the way it is. There's really nothing to mess with there. SI background ping, I keep it off. Fish ID, I keep it off. Fish ID sensitivity, I keep it on about 5. You don't really have to adjust that at all. This unit, the Humminbird units, do an amazing job of showing fish. RTS window off. Bottom view structure ID. Zoom width, I want it narrow. Depth lines, I turn that off. Some people like it on, that way you can see exactly what it is, but I have a pretty good rough estimate of what I'm looking at and how far away it is. SI range line, same way, off. Frequency label, I keep it on. That way it just helps me make sure what I'm running, so it'll show down there at the bottom. Noise filter, keep it on about 1. We don't want a whole bunch of clutter on there from the motor. Max depth, just auto. Water type, fresh. Connected transducer is where you just set the transducer that you're using. SI orientation, normal. Digital depth source, 2D element. Color bar, I keep it on. I like the color bar whenever I'm using 2D sonar. Let's see here. Temperature graph, I keep it off. Now we're going to go over to navigation. Current track, this is just your tracks. Y'all know about it. Casting rings, I keep it off. Waypoint and proximity flags hidden. Waypoint decluttering on. Trolling grid rotation 0. Track point interval. I'm just going to go through this. Course projection line standard. There's really not a whole big ordeal about the navigation. Pretty much just leave it the way it comes, unless you have just certain things that you want to do. Chart. Okay. Chart. Let's see here. Map source. We got you got Humminbird base maps. Then you've got your Contour XDs. And then you've actually got your Humminbird Lake Master chart, which is what I've got on the graph. So that's what I'm running, is the Lake Master. Okay. Set simulation position, that's just to do with what I have it on now. You don't have to worry about that. Chart orientation, I like course up, so that way if I'm going north, south, east, or west, whatever, this thing is following me in the exact direction that I'm going. That's another preference, so it depends what you want. North reference, want it true. North up indicator on, that way I know where north is. That's really it, guys. I mean, you don't really have to mess too much with anything else. Now we're going to go over to Humminbird charts. Okay, this has to do with your Lake Master. This is very important. So the whole thing with auto chart is I can drive around and record what I'm reading. So if I want to get a little bit more detail in an area, all I got to do is turn that auto chart on. The Helix units, they come with like 8 hours already on there, so you can already graph for about 8 hours. Sounds like a lot, but it's not. So if you want to spend the extra money, get you a card, that way you can really get some deep detail into your unit, then that's a good one. Map overlay, don't really mess with that at all. Base layer, you got your aerial and your 2D map. So what that does, the aerial image on the Lake Master Plus that I have, it shows like all the rocks and stuff around the banks, trees and all that. The 2D map, it'll just show like the regular yellow banks. So I don't really mess with that. I keep it on aerial. Base overlay reset, Don't mess with that. That just resets everything that you just did. Contour lines, want them visible, of course, I'm fishing. Depth colors, this adjusts, like, out here on the map. I'll look over here, see how blue all this just got? Okay, my preference, I like running it at 10 or 9, whichever one. 10 is just like a lighter blue. That way I can kind of get just a little bit of the detail that I want. It just adjusts to my eyes really well, so that's what I like running it on. You just have to play with that and figure out what's good for your eyes. Depth highlight, this is just where you highlight what you want to see. So like right here, see how I got all this highlighted? That's showing the 40-foot, you know, what I'm looking for. Basically what I found fish in. You know, I might have caught a fish out here at 40 foot, so then I highlight 40-foot range to, or 25 foot to 40 foot, so it's gonna show everything, you know, right here. So let's go back in here. Shallow water highlight, keep mine at 4 foot. I just want to be safe, don't want to hit nothing. So 5 foot I'm good, 4 foot you know, starts getting a little sketchy. Water level offset, that's just, you know, if your lake's down or up or whatever, you can adjust that lake level to whatever you need to adjust it to. And then you got your lake list, so you can go into whatever lake you want to look at. Setup, feet, we got statute miles per hour. This is all, you know, you don't really have to mess with any of this at all. The only thing that I do, your depth offset. Okay, so basically what I do, get you a tape measure. That tape measure, you're going to measure back here at your transducer and see how far it is to the water line. This way I get a true reading of how deep I am in the water. So I've got it set at about 1.5 foot. So that means from my transducer up to the water level on my boat is 1.5 foot. That way when I'm graphing, if it shows 30 foot, then I automatically know I'm definitely in 30 foot, not 29.5, you know, or 28.5 or whatever, however far your boat sits down in there. The rest of this stuff, you don't have to mess with it. You know, you can set your times and stuff like that. It's nothing really important. And then we've got views. This just cuts down what you're going to see when you're hitting views. So you'll just have to play with that and figure out what you want to look at and what you don't want to look at. There's a preset on these Humminbird units. You can, you know, hit one of or save which views that you like the best. So I'm not going to go through all that. Y'all have to figure that out yourself, whatever you want to look at. Accessories, this is just for your iPilot, your 360, stuff like that, your radar. Your Bluetooth, you can, you know, to your Talons or your cell phone, and then you got your network. One of the biggest things that I do, I run a Helix on the front also. I've got a networking cable, which is this fat cable right here. It runs all the way up to the front of my boat. That way I can share waypoints. So when you go into menu, go over here to network, you're going to go to share waypoints and turn it on, you know, if you do want to share waypoints up front. Guys, so that's how you set up your Humminbird Helix units. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and share for more content, and hopefully I'll have you some more content here pretty soon. I appreciate you guys, and if you need anything, holler at me. And don't forget, if you're having trouble with your electronics, feel comfortable to message me. I'll help you out the best I can. Another thing that I do is electronic classes, so if you really want to go into detail about how to use your units on a certain lake or certain weather conditions or anything like that, feel free to call me. I usually, for an electronic class, I charge about $450, but that's for however long it takes you to get comfortable. So if it takes you 2 hours to get comfortable using your graph and learning the stuff you need to learn, it takes 2 hours. If it takes 2 days, it's going to take 2 days. It's still the same price. So guys, you don't have to bring nothing. I'll help you out the best I can. So I appreciate y'all. Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check me out on Facebook at Professional Angler Colton Posey, and check me out on Instagram at Colton Posey Fishing. I appreciate y'all.